There
and
we go. Haha.
and go.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us this week. Happy Monday.
Woo.
As you can see, Mark is not here, so we have asked my friend Jamie to join us again on this very special Rebels Revisited. We're going to be revisiting The Mandalorian Season 3 and its connections to Rebels and Ahsoka, also known as Rebels Season 5, because we're calling it that now.
So we're just calling it that. We're in on
Yes.
that now.
Yes. Hi, Jen. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Sherry. Welcome. Getting some people in the chat. So, how's it going, Jamie? I haven't seen you in a little bit.
It's going, I'm so glad to be back, first of all. So thank you all for inviting me back. And
Welcome.
it's so funny because like I was rewatching parts of season 3, like literally up until I joined the call. Like there's so much happening. My brain is still swimming, even though it's been like a week since the show ended. So yeah, there's lots to talk about.
There really is. We can get right to it if you'd like.
I didn't mean to just jump right in, but it's
No,
how's
you're
it
fine.
going? I'm like, it's been all consumed by Mando recently. That's how my week has gone.
There's like so much that happened this season. So many like crazy, unexpected things. And I have to say that the first thing that like really like kickstarted the crazy this season for me was the Purgles.
We just came out of the gate and said,
Just
here.
boom.
Yeah, and it was wild too. So like my husband at the very beginning of the season started taking like reactionary videos of me reacting to things happening on the screen. And the Purgles for me were literally like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's just pointing.
I feel like that was a lot of us. Oh my gosh.
It was so accurate. And like it's wild to see something that was such a hallmark of Rebels like appear other places. So
Yeah, first time they have been seen in live action. Huge deal. If I wasn't awake before then, at 3 a.m., I was awake after that.
listen, and I feel like before we even get into some of these episodes, like these episode debriefs and these cameos and these little nuggets that sort of appeared all throughout the season, I have to say you were absolutely the MVP with texting me at like 3 a.m. to be like, don't go on the internet, don't go on the internet, log out of your social media, avoid everything. Because the one downer I will say of this season, and I don't know if you felt this way too, but like, did you feel like the spoilers were so rampant this season?
Yeah,
No,
people were just like ready to just talk about it immediately. Like,
except episode 7.
yeah, they were doing a pretty good job at keeping that a secret and everything. Hi, Marcus. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. We are like, there's so many things popping up this season on The Mandalorian that even like the Star Wars account was like, oh, we've waited like 10 hours. Let's go ahead and
it's been a minute.
this.
Let's go.
And
I kind of wish they'd bring back that Mando Monday.
Yeah.
Remember like Mando Monday from seasons 1 and 2, where like that's when they would say like, all right, the veil is lifted. We can now talk about what happened like last week. And then they throw a bunch of merch at us and I'd be poor for the week. Let's bring that back for season 4.
I'm down with that. That's good. It was really, really cool to see the Purgles and just interesting to see Grogu's reaction to them. He seems to have, like Ezra, a really strong connection with nature and the Force. And him just his little hand on the window, just kind of like looking at the Purgles and just being in awe. It was so cute.
Well, and I think speaking of Grogu, like this season, I think with Grogu, even though I feel like Grogu wasn't in this season as much as we've seen him in the past, but I think this season did a really nice job straddling Grogu's relationship with, the Force and being a Jedi, being a Padawan or a Jedi, whatever we're going to call him, but also like his ties to the Mandalorians.
Yeah.
And that Purgle moment, I think, was like sort of like first reminder in the entire season that it's like, all right, this is definitely still a Force sensitive being that, like you said, has this connection just like Ezra does. So,
and that's going to be really cool. I wonder if we'll see it come to play in the future, even more strong stronger than it is.
Mm.
Maybe with the mythosaur.
Ooh.
I know we didn't obviously get that this season, but the fact that we'll get to that.
Yes.
Well, I'm getting ahead of
Awkward.
myself. I'm so sorry. Also, what did you think of the forge and like the the random cave dwelling and kaiju hunt for all intents and purposes of the Mandos and yeah.
You mean like with Ragnar, or you like when they
Ragnar,
actually
yeah.
listen? That kid is cursed. It happened like what, twice, three times in that season where he ended up having like either having or instigating or being the victim of some major like mythical creature coming down to get him. I don't know. Ragnar, poor Ragnar.
And then he lost his father, but we'll get there.
Well, yeah, he's having a tough go of it. Like, this is a character that we just saw. Also, did you know that Ragnar was is it Jimmy Kimmel's son plays Ragnar?
His nephew.
Nephew. Yeah.
It's his nephew. Okay, I was like looking through because some of these names I didn't recognize, but I was like, what a strange and wonderful connection.
And he was also the child Tusken.
No, Tusken. Yeah. I was like, this kid's Star Wars royalty and kids
Yeah,
here.
he's doing so much,
But yeah, he as Ragnar is definitely cursed. Poor kid. Definitely
Poor kid.
tough go of it. There were a lot of really unsettling like Star Wars creatures in this season.
Yeah, they definitely went the creature route, and yeah, like between the weird pterodactyl thing and the Spencer, what did you call that crocodile?
It's Meth Gator.
So
we have Meth Gator and
listen, I'm in Florida right now. That's not funny.
Yeah, it is.
It is funny.
Chilling in your backyard.
He's literally in my backyard right now. He's got a little collar on him. He's great.
Oh yeah, you saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know all about those giant gators in the sewers.
That's literally just a nature documentary for us here in Florida.
For real.
Yeah, but then like even do we have a name for, and this shows you what I know. I won Star Wars trivia last week, not to brag, but I also don't know the names of things. The creature in the mines of Mandalore, right? The thing that was like not quite a droid, but also like not quite with the eye.
I don't think we have
Grievous. Yeah, we didn't get a name for that.
Yeah, there's no official name for that, but that was freaky. That was probably my freakiest creature this season. Like the one that I was just like, oh, like this poor thing, like you said, Grievous. It was like experimented on, and it's half human and mostly droid, and all that's left is an eyeball. And they put like a giant magnifying glass on it. Oh my god!
Straight up nightmare fuel. Yeah, that
Seriously.
was.
And the fact that it was draining Mando of his blood, I was just like, oh my god, I was having like Mad Max Fury Road vibes, and like, he's a blood bag, and he's trying to turn him into a blood bag. Like, I was losing my mind.
What about the Morlocks?
Oh, those two. Oh my god, I forgot about the Morlocks. Jeez, it's been so
I guess
long.
you're not sleeping tonight.
Nope.
But yeah, but you know, it is wild because like these are all creatures that you're just like, man, if Ezra Bridger were around right now, these would all be like his BFF. He'd be like just hanging out with.
I don't think there's anybody that could be their BFFs. Like they're just stone cold evil. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely don't go in the waters on Mandalore.
Yeah, I've never been so happy to see Bo-Katan just show up with the Darksaber and just whoop his butt. Like and that comes into play later on in the season with Bo-Katan and the Darksaber. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. I can't help it.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying though. Like there's so much that happened, and like this season felt like it was like there's a storyline here and a storyline there and a storyline there and a storyline there. And like I think it's gonna take, I don't even think it's gonna be season 4 of Mando. I think we're gonna start to see this tied together really with Ahsoka. I mean, I think some of it's gonna have to come back into play.
Oh yeah. And with the next portion of The Mandalorian, you obviously The video you sent me of Bo-Katan just like chilling in her sweatshirt and eating chocolate in bed, talking to her mom, and was just like, "Oh, hold on," and she just takes her
Run.
sweatshirt up and like, "How do people fit?" Like that's. I'm so glad that Bo-Katan grew from that to how she was by the end of the season
Yeah.
because
The opening, that opening, man, when she's just like lounging on that throne, I just wanted to hand her a box of wine and be like, Bo-Katan, you get one day of moping, and then you need to get off this throne, and you need to get your stuff together. See, I didn't swear. You need to get your stuff together, and you need to like get the job done, girl. And
Oh, you're classy. You got the box of wine.
you get a whole box on Mandalore.
You
I mean,
you have the full card Bordeaux.
I mean, I did say I live in Florida.
I don't even drink wine, so that's good.
Yeah, this isn't Naboo, right? We don't have any of that like fancy stuff here.
Nah.
Okay, Romulan ale. How's that?
Wrong show, dude.
With Bo-Katan just having her fleet suddenly like up and leave her, and kind of a side quest, but also I'm glad it wasn't too much of a side quest to get them back. Well, it kind of was, but yeah, it just Din once again being like, "Oh, fine, I'll go ahead and fix this. I'll help you get your squad back," and yeah, just kind of breaking down that door. And it was good to see Casca Reeves and Axe Wolves
Yes.
back, and so many other Mandalorians we haven't seen before of the unhelmeted variety. So we got the masked and the unmasked Mandalorians.
Did you expect, so two-part question.
Sure.
A, did you expect that there would be a lot more like inter-tribe fighting? Like I really thought that there would be a lot more like aggression between groups of Mandalorians. Like
I did
when they all
too.
came together, I was kind of surprised that they were all just like, yeah, all right, well, we'll do this. And they kind of like kicked the dirt around a little bit and said, okay, I guess. But like, I just expected it to be, given their history, right? Like Mandalorians hate other Mandalorians. Like that's just the history of their planet.
Right.
I just felt like there was going to be so much more aggression between the different groups.
There was, but I also think that they do see Bo-Katan and her family lineage, and also like Din Djarin to a degree, as leaders. And if they need them to band together for something, it's for a good reason.
And that's true. That's fair. Yeah.
And also the fact that Din was able to get to Mandalore and see that it wasn't poisoned and that they've been lied to all this time to stay away from it for a horrible reason. But it kind of gives them, all right, like let's go reclaim our planet. And it's something that they both want ultimately in the end. And you know, we see Axe and Paz fight. You know, it's kind of like a pirate ship fight. Like let's duke it out. And the most unexpected thing was Grogu being like, no, 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 no.
Okay, so my second part of that two-part question.
Sure.
The Wrens, question mark?
I know. Oh my God. So are we saving them for Ahsoka? I was really, really surprised that Sabine did not show up, and Tristan and Ursa.
Yeah, Ursa, like,
and Alistair.
Where are they? Because like you would think, especially given like Ursa and Tristan's literal role in everything, like I was pretty surprised. Like I even paused it in a couple of frames just to make sure. But like Ursa's armor is so iconic, right? That bright yellow, so it should be really easy to spot. And I was like going through them, like, do I see her? Do I see her? Do I see her?
Oh my God, same.
I didn't. So I've got some questions. Where are the Wrens at? Where are the Wrens at? Put that on a t-shirt.
That's next week's shirt. No.
Spencer, put it on a shirt.
It would be cool, but I really think that they probably want to tell as much Sabine's story as possible in Ahsoka. You know, it would be cool if they kind of didn't make it a limited series, if they made it like an actual series for a little while. I'm just saying.
Well, but then, I
I
mean,
won't say no.
we also don't forget we have this movie coming up now. This Dave Filoni led film that's supposed to tie everything together. So even though we might get a limited run with Ahsoka, there's probably way more coming.
Oh yeah.
A thought.
Trust in the Falone. We got
A
this.
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just missing the Wrens, man. Where are the Wrens at?
I know. We had a little bit of a pirate issue on Navarro, which it was kind of cool to see Grief Karga back in all his caped splendor. I mean, my God, who has droid capes? Like
that's a Lando thing. He
Yeah.
definitely taking notes from Lando.
Did he borrow it from Lando? That's what I want to know. Did Lando just drop off his entire cape closet and to Navarro and just be like, "Here, you win it in a game of Sabacc."
Whole
Enjoy.
wardrobe just came from Bespin.
Mira gave it to him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I took it from the Crimson Dawn.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Cool.
It's nice to see Navarro. Like,
Yeah.
looking good, Navarro.
Yeah, shiny as a new penny.
There. Yeah. You know, no longer do we have cantinas. Now we have schools. That's important. Love that. Was a little disappointed when I saw that the name of the episode was The Pirate, because I'm like, is this it? Am I finally getting my live action Hondo? Am I getting Hondo? And then
Yeah. Oh
man,
my gosh.
you would have heard the shrieks from your own home. I would have been absolutely howling.
That would have been
howling
so cool.
if Hondo had showed up. But we'll save him. Maybe Ahsoka. You know he's out there looking for Ezra. You know Hondo Onaka is looking for Ezra. I digress.
Yeah, he's looking for Jabba the Hutt.
Gotta get him. Gotta get him.
Yeah. And having the pirate show up, Goran Shand.
Goran Shand.
Shard, sorry.
Yeah.
Goran Shard.
Sorry,
We got
Fennec Shand. Goran Shard. Yeah. Yeah. That's a weird.
These names, man. These names. Yeah, he was probably one of the more like kind of, I don't want to say interesting, but like crazy design choice for a villain, I think.
It was straight up Pirates of the Caribbean in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He reminded me a little bit of like Captain Barbossa, but like plants.
Yeah, even with his own Smee, it was like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And that was Carrie Jones too.
Yes, gotta love Carrie Jones.
Stanton, and also Man Thing from Werewolf by Night.
So he really loves playing those plant guys, doesn't he? This is like the second one. But
so when you find your thing, you hold on to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, Goran was like really a typical, pirate captain. When everything goes wrong, just start shouting orders at people and call it a day.
Call it a day. Call it a day.
I want to give it up for my boy Vane, though, from Marty Metellus.
Oh my God, Marty, you absolutely killed it. Like Vane, the fact that Vane is still out there and he lives to fight another day is going to be very cool to see where he pops up next, because for me, he's too charismatic as a villain, like even more so than Goran. And even if he's not directly under Goran Shand, he's going to be causing trouble for somebody somewhere.
Well, and I think that's such an important idea too, because I think if there's anything that the Mandalorian especially has taught us, it's that there is no such thing as a throwaway character anymore. Like, when we think, and I guess the Book of Boba Fett kind of did this too, right? Like,
yeah.
If we think about like characters that you never in a million years thought you'd ever see again, like even from the original trilogy, I'm going to use one of my all-time favorites, and please judge away because this character has unironically been one of my all-time favorites since I was a tiny little child. Max Rebo.
Yeah.
Like, it's just there's no such thing as like a throwaway character anymore until we see a body, and even then we might still get them back. So
IG-11.
These characters, IG-11, all these characters that we've seen, and we saw so many extra characters in The Mandalorian this season. I think it's a great point. I think he's not a throwaway character. I think there's a strong chance we're going to see him come back some other place.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
here for it.
Well, if trailers that we saw at Celebration are any indication, yeah, that's happening.
There you go.
We're happening. Yes.
I didn't know if you know about this, Jane, but it was funny because Marty was walking the floor of Celebration and no one knew who he was, and he was wearing a Vane T-shirt the entire time, and no one knew who he was.
How did he
Well,
get one? That's my question. Like,
It was a Lego. It was a picture of his Lego character.
there is a Lego. Oh my God. I am so far behind on this. That's awesome, Marty. You are a
Well,
Lego. You have made it.
we're gonna have to have like a whole other show about merchandise because honest to God, the merch has gotten like unhinged since The Mandalorian. There's so much. And it just
Hello,
surprises
Celebration last year when they did the Rock Zen Garden. They, you know,
I was playing with the display in the store. Okay. That was,
Yeah.
for like
An
10
Endor
minutes, I was
terrarium.
like, I hate you, sand.
It's crazy. And I feel like The Mandalorian has also like really like spurred that on because Grogu is such a merchandisable character. Like this thing I literally bought for no good reason at the parks the other day. Like, I don't know. There's so
that
much
is that is
merch.
part of the blind box plush set. And look
Yeah,
how angry Grogu is
he's
at that
he's
training ball. Just
furious.
keep it in front of your
He's-
chest so you can, yeah.
He's
He's just angry.
furious.
So angry.
Absolutely furious. But yeah, the merch has gotten unhinged. So it doesn't surprise me that Vane has his own Lego. Like, that's great. Good for him. I love that for him. Truly.
So cool.
I just want to be a Lego.
And just when you think that you could not get Grogu in any other iterations, they put him in the body of IG-11 and he becomes IG-12. And just like probably one of my favorite parts of the season is just seeing Grogu just go and Greef Karga was totally cool with this, mind you, given the previous chaos with IG-11's like alien's body just like crawling across the floor and trying to kill Grogu. We have Grogu piloting IG-12 and going madcap around the office going, yes, 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 yes. The buttons were such a phenomenal thing to add to Grogu and his communication. I love it.
So I have to do a shout out to anybody else who's watching right now who has a toddler who watches Bluey, because there's absolutely something in Bluey called a yes no button.
Oh my God.
It does exactly what Grogu does. So the very first thing that my husband and I said when we were watching little Grogu piloting IG-12 with his yes, 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 no, no, no. We looked at him and we're like, this is literally an episode of Bluey. So
I was waiting for him to say that was easy.
Oh man.
That's the next little like, I don't know, that'll be an internet short where Grogu just gets a whole bunch of buttons and just that was easy. That was easy.
So it's like those videos you see where dogs and cats have those buttons on the floor. Grogu's gonna have all of those buttons, and he's just gonna put them in there and just keep doing it, and all these phrases.
I mean, he's a 50-year-old toddler, and there's nothing that toddlers have more than buttons.
Yes.
So,
And just give him a whole robot to pilot. Whole droid all to himself. Totally fine.
He's living. He is living.
Yes.
Was past tense.
Listen.
Yeah. So as you know, IG-12 goes down hard later in the season, but he comes back as a new IG-11, and it was really good to see him, get back to IG-11 and his proper, free, unchanged, programming. And the Azelians did a really good job.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, again, listening to Boonta Eve and the VCN, we have No Squeezy, which is now forever in Star Wars lexicon.
Bad baby.
Bad baby. No Squeezy. Quite possibly one of the cutest things I've seen this season, along with like Grogu piloting that. And falling asleep in Din's lap. That's just right up there with me.
There's so little that he can do that isn't adorable. I gotta tell you,
No.
And the fact that he's still a practical puppet, I just like one of my favorite things watching, especially this season. Like, and we're obviously jumping ahead, but like especially towards the end of this season, whenever he's fighting, there's some puppeteer somewhere who's literally just like yeeting Grogu. He's just getting thrown around and flipped around, and it's just a puppet being thrown around. And I love that. I'm so glad that Grogu is not CGI.
Yes.
I love that he is a practical puppet. It's like such an important part of Star Wars history, and I'm so glad that they've held on to that, because they could just as easily go to CGI.
Yeah, and we saw how that worked out
They
in the
won't.
prequels, and I'm also very glad they didn't go that route. Yeah.
So that just makes me happy.
Yeah. So we will get into a little more with Grogu, and we finally find out who saved him from the Jedi Temple.
Listen,
Jedi Temple Games man himself.
the joy that I felt seeing Ahmed Best
Yeah.
take that role, and just show up in such. First of all, I don't think any of us thought that it was going to be Kelleran Beck, right? I don't think any of us thought that it was going to be him.
No. Oh my goodness.
Man, when those like doors open and it's him, that was just such a good moment. It was such a good moment. And it's like weird to feel so much pride for somebody that you don't know, like, right? Like, I don't know Ahmed Best, but like, it's just such a strange feeling to feel so much pride for him, because like that man did not have a good go of it with the prequels. And for a long time, he was, sort of ostracized, right? And harassed and bullied because of his portrayal of Jar Jar Binks. And man, what a redemption arc he got. I'm so proud of him. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love him.
And I cannot wait to see more. I feel like his story isn't over yet, and there will be more with Kelleran. But as soon as that door opened, like you said, I just like smacked my hand over my mouth, and I'm like, oh, he's back, like, oh my gosh. And I was texting Spencer. I'm like, I don't care if it's 4 in the morning, like losing my shit. Probably one of the greatest things that Lucasfilm and Star Wars could do for one of their actors, for one of their own, aside from bringing back Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader. Like, this is, for me, this is right up there with that. This is that big a deal for me. So I want to see more Kelleran Beck. I want to, the man, like, now we know where Grogu gets his love of speed, okay? Like, that him on the speeder and just be like in the sidecar and just flying through Coruscant.
Well, and I just think he's such an interesting character too. So for full disclosure, I have not watched the Jedi Temple games yet. It's on my radar. I haven't gotten there yet.
It's cute.
You've watched it. Okay. So what I understand from the show, right, is it's all about these kids passing their trials, right, to become a Padawan. Right.
So it's like the Jedi version of Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Which, hello, sign me up. I'm like angry that I'm too old to do something like that. Like, move over, kids. I'm coming. Who is this woman? Get her off the set. But what I love so much about this character is that he has this deep connection to these younglings, right? So, one of the theories that I really love that I kind of kicked around for a while was that maybe it was Jocasta Nu who saved Grogu. And I really held on to that because I wanted to see more from Jocasta Nu. But like, I just think that it's such an incredible thing that it's this character whose whole job was to prepare these children, to be Padawans and to pass these trials and things like that. And he's the one that saves Grogu. I don't know. Got me right in the heart. Like, okay.
Yeah. Like, I know he probably wanted to save as many Padawans as he could. And that's the sad part is, like, a lot of them were scattered to the wind and got away when they could. But it's incredibly cool that when those elevator doors open, that it's just like he knew what to do, and he knew how to get Grogu away, because probably he knew Yoda, he knew Yaddle, and he knew that they have a really strong connection with the Force. And it's probably like, I don't know, I don't want to go so far to say as maybe Grogu's the last of his kind.
My other sort of knee-jerk reaction to this is, we talk about, except in this chat, we talk about how the Jedi aren't meant to have these relationships, right? They aren't meant to have these deep connections with people. And yet we know that this connection between like a master and a Padawan it's likened in so many cases to like a parent and a child, right?
Yeah.
So I, in that moment when Keller and Beck showed up to rescue Grogu, like, you know where my heart went. I was like, oh, Diva Balaba telling Caleb to run. Just like, you know, because
Exactly. Oh my
they do
gosh.
everything they can to try to save these children, save their children, save their Padawan. And it was just such a wonderful thing to see, like, just this desperate preservation of the next generation. And we saw it with Diva Balaba, and now we saw it with Keller and Beck. And I don't know, my
Dooku.
brain just, it was just absolutely screaming just thinking about the dire straits that they were in. But
Right.
Order 66, we're gonna see it every freaking episode. We're gonna see more Order 66
because there were so many players in the whole ordeal. Like, there were so many people affected, there were so many people involved, and it was widespread. So yeah, I think you're right. It's not over. We'll see it again in some other form.
My money's on Ahsoka.
Yeah,
probably.
Probably.
I mean, probably Ahsoka.
Yeah. So another crucial part of this season, as you can see, was Omid Abtahi coming back as Dr. Pershing, and the return of Katie O'Brien's character, which previously unnamed Imperial officer, now turned spy for Moff Gideon. And yeah, that was probably interspersed with, like, you know, Mando stuff at the end and Bo-Katan. Having that whole scene and kind of giving us kind of the Andorification of this season of Mando. Mandor.
Yeah. Mandor.
It's a Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian. Yeah, that's good.
Ooh.
So having that whole thing happen was pretty cool because it just kind of left you tense, and it's like, oh, I don't trust her. What is she doing? Like, she's playing things a little bit too easy.
Yeah. So that was my favorite episode of the season.
Oh, cool. Tell.
It was my favorite episode of the season. And mostly because, and again, I'm going to tie this back to Rebels because, as you know, this is pretty much what I do. Did you read the Alphabet Squadron books by
I did not. I own them.
Okay.
I just don't. I haven't read it. I'm one of those people.
Get on it.
Yes,
Get on it
terrible.
because they're lovely. But those books take place at roughly around the same time as specifically what's going on with Dr. Pershing and this this rise of the New Republic and sort of the purging of these ex-Imperials, or not purging necessarily, but the what they call it, like and what's so interesting about that is that there's a lot of morally gray in the Alphabet Squadron. They're talking about, like, well, we have all these war criminals, you know, it's going to take forever for us to put them all to trial, so we're just going to put them in camps and we're going to basically treat them as the hardened criminals that they are. But then the overall idea is that, well, this is the New Republic. We're supposed to be better than the Empire. We're not supposed to be treating people like this. We're supposed to be, you know, aspiring to bigger and better and more fair and more gracious things, right? And Hera is actually a key player in that. So when you read the Alphabet Squadron, Hera, she's, you know, she talks sort of a little bit about some of that morally gray area of, like, you know, this is a woman who's only been at war. She desperately just wants to go back to her family, but there's still all of this work that's left to be done to build the New Republic. And there's a lot of issue with how the New Republic is kind of coming into power. So the whole time I was watching this episode with Pershing and these they're not really camps at that point. They're these communities for all these ex-Imperials that have been sort of reprogrammed to be on the right side of things.
Yeah.
The whole time I just kept thinking, I'm like, man, this is that morally gray area that Hera is really struggling with in the Alphabet Squadron. And the absolute pivotal point for me, the point when I was like, yes, this ties right into that, was the Mind Flayer, when they had Pershing's head in there. And he kept saying, you're gonna erase my memory, you're gonna erase my memory. And the Mon Cala was like, no, he's like, that's not what this does. This is just a light tickle. We're never going to erase your memory. It's fine. This is the New Republic. We're not the Empire. And I'm like, you kind of are, though.
Yeah, if you were if they were better than the Empire, that the amount of pain and the amount of like erasing you could do would not go up that high.
Correct. So I think what we're starting to see, and what I loved so much about this episode, is that we're setting the audience up. We're setting everything up to see that the New Republic is actually going to end up turning into, what it's going to end up turning into in the sequel trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
So I loved it. Andor is my favorite live action property that we've had so far for TV shows. So I love that it felt like the Mandalorian. I love that genre. I love the grittiness of it. So I love that episode. And Katie O'Brien's wonderful. I hate that she's bad because she's absolutely lovely to look at.
Oh yeah, I loved her in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Like she was so good in that, and yeah, her character was just amazing. And the Mandalorian, and to have her do that, and then show up again with Paul Sun-Hyung Lee's Captain Carson Teva, and that whole episode, that one was probably one of my favorite episodes of the season, even before.
Oh, you're not going to mention Tim Meadows?
Who? No, I'm kidding. No, the ladies Mandalorian. Yeah, well, that was my favorite part because, Paul's character, Carson Teva obviously knows that there is something seriously amiss and that there are going to be bigger problems and something is seriously going on.
Mm-hmm.
And to have the bureaucrats like Tim Meadows' character, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name off the top of my head because it was never said out loud. To have him just kind of push it aside and being like, it's more paperwork I'll have to do. And it's just, when serious threats like that are starting to be pushed off, and that's where it allows it to grow and to fester in like the bad ways that lead it to becoming the First Order later on.
Yep.
And the fact that Carson Teva is there and he obviously knows something is amiss, and Katie O'Brien's character, Elia Kane, which is like, oh, she is a liar. Like that was me.
That's clever. That's clever.
That was my reaction to her. But to have her come in, like, who are you? Like, you're an Imperial random number assigned person. Like, why are you in an office with a captain and somebody who's obviously like in charge of like a major part of the New Republic? Like, why are you in this office? Like, and being allowed to sit in and listen to this, like that part kind of concerned me. But to have,
to show you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
To say, it just goes to show you there's no such thing as a free cookie ever.
Ever.
Dark
Side has cookies, but it comes with the price.
It comes with the price.
My hand is my face right now.
Oh no.
Thanks, Jamie. Family show.
Apparently you can buy them. I mean, I'm sorry, was it or was it not you encouraging me to swear earlier?
You're off here.
But yeah, that episode is obviously one of my favorites this season because, not only do we get the New Republic officers bar, like straight out of Top Gun, like everybody's hanging out, playing pool, drinking spotchka, and we have Dave Filoni, Deb Chow, and Rick from Yuga back in their pilot suits and their flight suits, and David this very fancy hat.
Of course he is.
But we have, this was my thought process on that episode. It's, there's a Lestat. Wow. Okay, Lestat's made a comeback. That's pretty awesome. We have Taro and Master Taro from Jedi Fallen Order. So it's like, that's cool. Maybe it's somebody related to him. Maybe Lestats are making a comeback in their new homeworld. And then he spoke. And then my hands immediately went to my mouth. And he just kept talking and he just leaned in. And I was like, just squeaking at my TV and losing my damn mind. And it was our boy, Garazeb Aurelios, Karamast. He's back and looked so good in live action. So not only do we get our boy Steve Bloom back doing Zeb's voice, but we also get Steve in a mocap suit.
He's
Like,
mocapped. He's mocapped.
so
Oh,
cool. So cool.
So I told you my husband was capturing reactions.
You have to post that reaction. Tell him Dan to post that reaction. Tell him.
The he's probably watching right now. He's probably gonna
Dan, post
come
that
flying
video.
upstairs and be like, I've got it. The tears that streamed down my face. I did not expect, of all of the characters in Rebels to go live action, I did not expect that the one that was going to push me to tears was going to be Zeb.
Yeah.
Because I assumed, which shame on me, I assumed that they were going to be like, Zeb and Callus are off, they're taking care of things on their sand. We're not going to see them because we don't want to deal with bringing a Lasat to the small screen.
Right.
Because mocap is not cheap.
Right.
I never thought we were going to see him. But then not only to get him and to get Steve Blum was just, I mean, that was everything I wanted. I don't know. We were truly blessed and favored that day. We were
Agreed. Honestly, like,
and he's a pilot. Hera is so proud of him. He's a pilot.
He's a New Republic officer, and doing good things in a galaxy far, far away. Still, after all this time, like, I want to know what he's been up to. Like, like, obviously this is like the coolest thing ever, but like now I'm like, okay, Zeb, I want your backstory. What have you been doing?
You want Zeb back, or do you want Hot Callus back?
Why not both?
Why not both? Yeah. We don't discriminate. Like,
we don't discriminate. Okay, here's what I'm saying though. If the two of them are not in Ahsoka at this point, like, quick, somebody pull up like the IMDb stuff for Ahsoka. Is there anybody that fits the description for Callus? Anybody? There's no way we're not getting them in Ahsoka. There's no way.
Even if he has to show up in like a hologram, even if he's not like directly a part of things,
there's no way.
I will take it. Like, whatever we can get.
Well, you want a hologram of him cooking and saying, Zeb, you're not home for dinner? Like,
no, I meant Zeb, but yeah, either way, I'll be happy. Like,
Spencer, I think you are underestimating how starved I am for these characters right now.
Yeah,
everyone's like, oh, these Rebels fans are eating good right now, and I'm like, no, we aren't. We haven't gotten anything yet.
These are minor breadcrumbs. They're cool little moments, but yeah. Honestly, like, the fact that Zeb is like aware of like the bureaucracy of the New Republic, higher ups, and everything that it will have to go through, and he's kind of like the voice of reason for Carson Tipa, and I think inspires him to just actually go there himself instead of like calling in the request. Just him being like, hey, I'm here in person. This is serious. And that final shot of Zeb when he's leaning at the bar and you just see Filoni in the foreground and his head turns towards Zeb, and I'm just like your boy is in live action.
I need that signed.
Yeah. Oh my God. I would love to have that signed by Steve. Somebody get me that.
Listen, it's not too late. We can go to Nashville. We can go. Let's just go. We
have a whole contingent going.
Yeah, I really, really, really want to. I really want to, but unfortunately, it's a little bit out of my price range right now. I have a lot of things that came up, and yeah, I want to, but I will live like I will. Please drag them all to Rhode Island so I can just get my East Coast contingency happy. Yeah. Otherwise, I would love to get on a plane and go to Nashville. Yeah. But we have, I think Catherine is going. I think Dave is going. I'm not sure if Skip is going. I'm not sure if Mark is going. Mark and Jason. That would be hella cool. To be among you guys if I could. So just to have everybody back together and everybody in one con, I'm like, please come to Rhode Island.
Jen Bergen's going.
Oh yeah, Jen's going. Sherry might. Oh my God.
Yeah, and you better wear your Rebels Revisited shirt when you see the Rebels.
They're running that con, man.
They really are. Listen. So it's like a 10-hour drive. I don't know what I would do with my kid. If my husband's watching, I swear we're not going. We're not going.
So another really important cameo this season was not really a cameo, but the Praetorian Guards made their first appearance. So
There they were.
We're bringing in more of the sequel trilogy and kind of leading in that direction. They were like, so we see where they got their helmets from. We see like the Mando origins of it, and like their weapons and everything, like crazy good. Now we know why they were so hard to stop. I'm looking at you, Moff Gideon, in your crazy Mando helmet with your Beskar everywhere. Like, jeez. So I have seen this theory floating around the internet where they think that because Moff Gideon did not have a mustache, that is a clone and he's still alive.
Oh, come on.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep.
I saw that everywhere, and even Star Wars Theory talks about that too.
Oh yeah. So that and when you look at, and it's obvious when Grogu's like looking into the tank at all of Moff Gideon's clones, none of them have mustaches because it's obviously just like the base DNA of Moff Gideon merged with force sensitive people's DNA.
Listen, Bo-Katan is going to be so pissed off if he's not dead.
Like, my God, why can't I kill this bastard? Like, what the hell? But yeah, that's my theory. That's many other people's theory. Apparently, I'm like, he doesn't.
We'll see.
So, and I really, as much as everybody wants the villain to be defeated, Giancarlo Esposito is so
He's
good
wonderful.
as a bad
Yeah,
guy, and
he really is.
loves Star Wars, and he just plays a phenomenal villain. Like,
he does.
Hands down, no matter what he touches, he's phenomenal in. And to have him just kind of go out like that, I'm like, oh no. Like, Moff Gideon ain't done yet.
Do you think they were going to get Moff Gideon with like the half Gus face that we got at the end of Breaking Bad, with the half skull?
Oh my God, can you imagine?
The mouse would never allow that.
Yeah, they wouldn't. I mean, yeah, they wouldn't. I mean, if they use the Fox portion, no. Yeah.
That's messy.
Yeah, that would be really messy. But so I don't think Moff Gideon is dead.
Listen, nobody is going to be angrier than Bo-Katan. She's going to be so mad.
And he will always have and as we can see from Moff Gideon throughout the seasons, he has always had a contingency plan. He has always had a plan B when everything goes awry. Whether it be like, okay, betraying Bo-Katan and just taking the Darksaber and then burning down Mandalore, and then keeping all the Beskar for himself to make his new army, his new ships, new ties, everything. And from losing Grogu to kidnapping other Force-sensitive people, I'm guessing, because there had to be way more than Grogu, to use their DNA to fuse with his clones.
Well, and listen, I mean, we saw that he is like, he's buddy with a lot of other people that are very much invested in getting the Empire back up and running, and reporting to Thrawn. Well, not necessarily reporting to Thrawn, but having like a vested interest in where Thrawn is and when Thrawn is coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, oh no, is he gonna want Ezra?
Yeah.
Sorry, my brain is just putting this all together now, and I'm just like, oh no, I thought he was dead. I did not notice that thing with the mustache. In my defense, I've only seen that episode once. I've seen all the others like 2 or 3 times at this point, so now I'm gonna have to like go back and really watch it.
Yeah, it's kind of jarring because I've always known up until like his earlier movies, like the later versions of Giancarlo Esposito's characters have always had that mustache. So the fact that like he doesn't have one in that scene, I'm like, whoa, did he shave? Like,
just a casual shave.
Yeah, it's like
before to fight the Mandos.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Oh man, that's wild. My
lips is allergic to Beskar. I have to shave. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, listen. The good news about it, though, right, is that Mandalorians got the Forge back, right? They got their planet back. So in theory, I mean, that's one source of Beskar that would be hard fought for the Empire to get back. in theory.
And also, like, the New Republic thinks that the Mandalorians freed Moff Gideon. They don't know that Moff Gideon used Beskar armor to have his henchmen and his Praetorian guards and his rest of the jetpack Mando Gideon squad to get him out. So right now he's framed all the Mandalorians, and the New Republic is upset. Like, Carson Teva absolutely thinks that Mandalorians were responsible for freeing Moff Gideon and not making him meet his war tribunal.
Now, why didn't he mention that in episode 8 when he saw Jaren? I'm not gonna call him Din because that's a whole.
I know we can't call him Din now.
I don't know the rules of Mando's Mando names. It just flips everything on its head. So
I also totally thought that Din was this guy's first name.
Yeah, we all did, because it's never been anything otherwise with any Mandalorian. We have Fen Rao, we have Tar Vizsla, Paz Vizsla,
Pre Vizsla,
Post Vizsla.
Too soon.
We have Clan Ren. Like, honestly, like the Kreese.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with
these. Ever been the reverse? So I have many questions. I think we need to call up
Yoda
Jon
named
Favreau.
them.
Yeah.
Stop it. See, okay. I mean, Carson Teva though, like, but he and Din at the end of that episode, like, we can't call him Din anymore. He and Mando, I'm just gonna call him Mando. We all know who that
We're
is.
so
right?
confused. We're gonna do that.
It's sort of like that meme I posted, like when Karga goes and says, "Hey, Mando," and the whole crowd is a bunch of Mandalorians. Like,
so the trippiest thing, I watch everything with subtitles. I have to watch with subtitles.
Yeah.
But like the subtitles still, at least, well, no, it would be the same across the board. But the subtitles still don't call him Din Djarin, and they still call him. So like if there's like if he trips, it'll say like the Mandalorian grunts. It doesn't say like Din Djarin grunts. So like even the subtitles call him the Mandalorian. So it's a weird, I don't know, it's a weird thing. Oh, listen, my brain is still so angry about this Moff Gideon thing.
Sorry.
No, it's a great point. And now I know what I'll be doing as soon as we're done with the show. I'm gonna go rewatch the episode.
It's only 35 minutes, so it's good.
I know. Do you feel like the episodes were just really short this season, except for the oh my god, I can't even talk. The one with Pershing, that was like an hour. Everything else was like between 30 and 40 minutes.
Yeah, that was like 2 episodes in one, really. So it was worth the full hour. But having all that happen, where you don't know what's happened with the New Republic, like where they're gonna, if Moff Gideon is still out there, if this is not Moff Gideon and he's causing more trouble, you got Elia Kane still working behind the scenes to sabotage the New Republic, but you also have, like, in my opinion, I was wrong with the armorer being the spy. I really thought she was a spy. The fact that she was taking the wounded. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought for sure. I thought that was going to go so badly for them when they were like, when she went back up to all the other Mandos. I was like, oh, this is going to go badly. Like, she's going to do something and that's going to wipe out all these.
You guys see Emily's IG the next day? It's like, somebody owes me an apology.
I did. And I wrote, I'm so sorry. I doubted you.
She's such an interesting character because, like, she's somebody whose character on screen is so big, right? Like, you think about the armor and you just think that she's like this big woman with this big, responsibility for the Mando. I mean, big both physically and, with responsibility. But then you see Emily Swallow and you're like, girl, you tiny. It's incredible to me how she performs because
it's
she
her
really
presence. Yeah.
Yeah. She makes herself so much bigger in every scene that she's in. And she is not a large woman. I mean, she's very petite. And man, as soon as that costume goes on, she is like, she takes up a lot of space in that scene, which is pretty amazing.
I wanted her to be Rook so badly.
I know. Oh man. So I was still hoping to see Rook Cass come back, and who knows? Maybe we'll still get it. maybe we won't. Maybe we'll
Along
never
with
know
Corky
her.
Freeze.
No, I'm thinking we'll see Corky Kreese before we find out who the armorer really is. So that's my final bet. I'm sorry, we'll get Corky Kreese back. Mark, you can quote me on this.
I just love how obsessed we all are with him. I just
I
love
know.
that.
It's all Mark's fault. So what are you gonna say?
I don't blame him at all. I think it's great. It's a beautiful thing.
So yeah, in our the T Public shop, we have our new Corky Kreese is the true Mandalore t-shirt. So you can get that there if you haven't already. It's really cool, as you can see it on Mark in last week's episode. But also I have to talk about probably the funnest episode of the season, and it was very polarizing with a lot of fans. But I have
It's
to
me.
say,
I'm fans. It's me.
no, not in polarizing in that regard, but also kind of there were a lot of bullying happening
that's
because
not
of
me.
it.
That's not
Yeah,
me.
that is definitely not you. I know. So we go to a new planet where Din and Bo-Katan have to try and get the Mandalorian, and they're also like on some kind of like Star Wars monorail system, complete with the voice, which made me crack up like you wouldn't believe. But they're on this planet and they meet the Duchess and her husband, played by Jack Black, and Lizzo, which, by the way, Lizzo is a huge Star Wars fan. Her dad got her into Star Wars, and her dad had since passed away. So this meant a lot to her. And it was so good to see her like getting to live like something that she shared with her dad, and having lost my dad and that anniversary coming up next weekend. It just meant a lot to me to just have her honoring him in that way and having so much fun with it. Like she was elegant and just so cool, and her scenes with Grogu, like honest to God, like she is all of us. She's like, give me that baby. That, you know, if you were in Star Wars and you had the chance to be on that set, you'd be the first thing you would do is like, give me Grogu. Just, and when she knighted him at the end of the episode, honestly, like that was the cutest little thing.
First of all, imagine having that on your resume. Yeah, I just casually knighted Grogu. It's fine.
Yeah.
I was
Girl.
living for the visuals on her. Like,
Yeah.
listen, Lizzo in that costume was a spectacle, and I loved it.
In the best way.
Yeah, and listen, Lizzo and Jack Black as a pairing was a fever dream. I definitely, I don't think it was on any of my bingo cards.
None. Nobody.
Not a single one. It's weird because, like, listen, Star Wars is completely unhinged, and we know this, and we love this. Like, that's why we're here. That's why we love Star Wars. The episode didn't work for me. It was just me. There was so much already going on this season that I feel like this was almost meant to be like an episode that was kind of like, oh, then we're going to give you a breather from all the heavy stuff that's going on. We're going to do something lighthearted and fun. And
CSI Mando.
CSI Mando. Yeah, it literally felt like I was watching an episode of CSI or Law and Order or one of those. Yeah. And it just the droid cantina was like, just, it was a lot for me to process. And I'm somebody who goes to a cantina at least once a week. So I mean, that makes me sound like an alcoholic. I'm not an alcoholic.
She goes to Oga's cantina.
Oga's. I go to Oga's.
Okay.
Alcoholics go to meetings.
What's this then?
Therapy.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Hi, audience. This is only my second show with Virtual Cantina. I'm not an alcoholic. Hope my mom's not watching.
You will be. You will be.
One trip to Celebration, all it takes, I hear. But no, what I'm getting at is it was just because there were so many things happening in this season. I just wanted a more loose ends tied up with those before I got an episode of CSI in a galaxy far, far away.
Right.
I don't know. But yeah, I guess I'll forever think about Lizzo playing space croquet with
Grogu. And Grogu cheating for her. Like, nobody noticed that, but oh my gosh, I loved that so much. Like, Sometimes I really like attach onto things that are like and as crazy and as out there as possible because sometimes I just don't want to think when I watch TV. I just want
Sure,
to enjoy
totally.
things.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
this was an episode where it stayed fun and though honestly some of it was just like, oh my God, like you really just drop kicked a battle droid. Like, what is going on with you? But that whole thing and the fact that all those little kids roped it off as a crime scene just had me laughing because it's just like, okay, this would be a buddy cop drama between Bo-Katan and Din Djarin in a galaxy far, far away.
I
Like,
guess.
but
I guess.
also,
And meanwhile, the buddy cop drama I wanted was Ezra and Thrawn, but we're clearly not getting that.
nope, not yet.
When you're stuck in wild
You
space.
want Carson Teva and Trapper Wolves in a buddy cop show.
Yeah, please. I've told Anne that too. I was like, please make this happen.
Wasn't that just supposed to be Rangers of the New Republic?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you never
We didn't
know.
get that.
You never know. You never know. I'm still
You
holding out.
could replace Cara Dune with Zeb.
I would love that, honestly.
Yes, please.
I would love that.
If you make Zeb Aurelius like the star of Rangers of the New Republic, like and Carson, it's buddy cop with Zeb and Carson Teva. Like obviously they can. Yeah, please.
So
I'm thinking about it. It's just making me like, please, just give me that.
So they say at the end of the episode, Carabas, and look at the camera as it freezes and the credits go right over them, like it's an 80s, 70s or 80s cop comedy show.
Yes.
And Carson goes, okay, see you.
I see you one better, and at least one of them is wearing a tacky button-up Hawaiian shirt.
It'll probably be Zeb.
Absolutely would be.
But it'll be like little droids on the shirt. And
I would wear it.
Palm trees from Scarif.
Yeah. I mean, you see my tacky Wildcat shirt. Yeah, absolutely. I'd wear that.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah. So,
anyway, Lucasfilm, if you're watching, we have a lot of show ideas for you.
Yeah.
Well,
saying.
Yeah. Now I want to make that poster, so I probably will. I'm kind of excited about that. So
absolutely.
Yeah, and another crazy cameo we got this season, Christopher Lloyd as like a droid programmer. Like I really thought he was going to be a Mandalorian.
Listen,
instead of a man in a DeLorean. I made that joke. I'm sorry, but yeah, did you just say what I thought you said? Yes, you did. Oh my gosh.
All I wanted was just one stupid throwback line back to the future, and I didn't get it. The hits just kept coming with that episode. Man, watching it, I was like, is that yep, there he is. That's him. This man he's up there in years, right? He's
in his 80s.
Yeah, he's up there in years. It's lovely to see him. Like that was my first knee-jerk reaction, was like, it was really lovely to see him. And to know that even again, we kind of talked about it at the beginning of the show, there's really no such thing as a throwaway role. There's no such thing as a small role in Star Wars, because you never know where characters are going to pop up ever again.
Yeah. And he didn't go to prison. He just went, to another planet for a while.
I don't know. Gotta cover your tracks.
Yeah. I'm glad he wasn't like a pure villain. Like he had a reason, I guess, for him doing what he did. And the Duchess was as lenient with him as she possibly could without sending him a message that, hey, it's okay, I forgive you, but you're off the hook.
You don't want to judge Doom.
Oh my God. No dip.
You trying to put Grogu in the dip?
No. Oh my God, my childhood is traumatized.
I was gonna say,
poor squeaky shoe.
That just awakened such a traumatic moment in my childhood.
That's my Artax.
Thank you.
That's my Artax. I'm sorry. And it's for you. Yes.
That shoe didn't see it coming.
no.
Okay. Anyway.
I remember being a little kid and seeing it. It was one of the first movies I saw in the theater, and I was just like the whole time, like, and you just hear the screaming, and it's sorry.
Terrifying.
But, yeah, thanks. I'm totally like traumatized all over again. Oh. Ashley's therapy hour brought to you.
True.
So that part was really cool to just kind of have him back, and maybe in a way we didn't expect. Like everybody was thinking that Christopher Lloyd was going to be a Jedi or a Mandalorian or a Sith, like something like that. But to have him be like some kind of programmer in a time where like things aren't the way they used to be in this planet anymore, and it's his fault because he used to be Imperial, and just kind of like his distaste for the things that are Imperial just kind of sabotaged everything. And I'm wondering if he's kind of, this is my brain getting ahead of me, if he's kind of set it up to happen while he's away, and that's why he went quietly, because he knows something bigger is going to happen. Maybe.
Listen, we don't know. I mean, he could be in leagues with that whole crew trying to get the Empire rebuilt. So
yeah,
we don't know.
A
The one
sympathizer.
thing that worries me again is that he's up there in years. I just hope we don't, if he does come back as a character, because again, no small roles in Star Wars, that he'll be up to continuing to perform. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I just feel like there has to be more to that episode. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there has to be some sort of callback to that episode, whether it's in season 4 or somewhere else, because in so many ways, it really felt like that episode was like, and now this. Like, it didn't feel like it really tied into anything else that we had kind of seen that season, or even seen in previous seasons of Mando, and it didn't really have any tie into anything that we know about with, you know, whatever Ahsoka's supposed to be or whatever the next shows are supposed to be. So we'll see, Star Wars. We'll see.
Yeah. So that's a hope for the future, I think, in the best way possible. So we have at the final episode where they are all on Mandalore and they're in the living waters again, and Ragnar is finally getting to say those words because he was interrupted by Meth Gator and then interrupted again by the kaiju bird. And the poor kid just could not catch a break this season.
I'm telling you,
so
Ragnar's hurt.
We lose our buddy Paz Vizsla, the heavy Mando. Again, huge shout out to Tate for, you know, capturing the bravery of Paz and his willingness to sacrifice himself to get the rest of the Mandalorians out of there. Yeah, probably one of the saddest deaths in Star Wars because he went out a hero and a man of few words, but big action. And
it was definitely a pretty brutal way to go.
Yeah. Like it took the Praetorian Guards to take him down. That's why these guys are so feared.
It's true. And it's interesting, like one of the things I've been kind of thinking about is the varying degrees of success that these different characters have against the Praetorian Guards.
Yeah.
Literally up through the sequels, like thinking about, you know, the whole throne room with Rey and Kylo and that whole thing, but like thinking about like the levels of strength and the levels of skill that some of these characters have to like really give these Praetorian Guards like a run for their money, right?
Right.
I'm so proud of Grogu. Listen, he was like not letting it get an inch.
He was, him and IG-11 suit, and the part where that, like, it was, many people were saying this was like a K2SO moment where like the door is starting to close and the Praetorian Guards are closing in on him and he's just backing up like this. I was like, oh no, no. Like, but Grogu running along the upper track, that was probably one of the cutest things.
So good. Yeah, he was just like doing his little scurry. And then some puppeteer just threw him, and I love that. Love watching him tumble.
Jamie is here for the puppets being thrown today.
Yeah, it's not even just today, it's every day. I love that stupid puppet.
Yeah,
I don't even know what I would do. Listen, I have not even gotten close to Grogu at Galaxy's Edge, but like I get a little emotional just thinking about being in the same vicinity as him. So yeah, I probably shouldn't be allowed to be anywhere near Grogu.
I went to Anaheim last year and I got to see the Mandalorian Experience exhibit. And to see Grogu in the N1 Starfighter, and the puppeteers are standing somewhere in that room watching you, and he just turns and faces you and he waves.
I would be like on the ground crying.
I'm like, I would do anything for you, Grogu. Like instantly, like you can hear me in the video I took. It was just pathetic. It was absolutely pathetic and beautiful at the same time. This puppet and so many guest stars will tell you, you see Grogu, you're instantly, you know in your brain of brains that this is not a real living being, but you don't know, and you will do anything to protect it. So the fact that he comes so close to being taken out by
Mhm.
Praetorian guards, because these guys are brutal. They took out Paz Vizsla,
Mhm.
and Grogu
Hell
was
yeah.
literally running for his life, and you're
Yep.
just sitting there nervous as hell. Like, what is happening? Even though you know Grogu is Grogu and he's not going to go anywhere, you still don't know.
Still don't
Because,
know. He could still get like a serious blow. We don't want that.
yeah, we want to save the baby.
Save
Yeah,
the
stock
baby.
and merchandise will go down the drain.
Absolutely.
Oh
Disney is
my
not
gosh.
letting its little merch character go without a fight. Trust me, I
So
know.
I also have a theory about the Praetorian guards. I think
Okay.
they are all clones of
Oh yeah,
Gideon.
I think 100%.
I
I'm on
think
board with that.
even the Mandos, the jetpack Mandos like you see over there,
Mhm.
in the white, I think those are also clones of Gideon. I think it's his way of building an army of me and just kind of helping himself live on. So I think it started with the jetpack Mandos and then the Praetorian Guards with the next step because they're stronger and they're harder to take down and they're highly skilled with their weapons. So I think it's just next level in the force experimentation. So while they're not fully force sensitive, they are stronger and
Mhm.
it's just he's got the next step in evolution and where he wants his clones to be.
You think
Well,
Gideon was trying to be the Star Wars version of Ego?
Yes. Yes, I do. Yes. Getting back to Guardians, yes. Yeah.
the other like so I'm totally on board with that theory. I think that theory holds water. Absolutely. I also will say like I think I know a lot of friends, like I have a lot of friends who are like diehard aggressive clone fans. Like that's their favorite part of Star Wars. They love the clones. They can name every single one of them. They all have their own unique personalities. I don't think we are going to see that with these clones. I think these are going to be like these very faceless, very, just brute strength, brute, just there for one job and one job only, and it's just destruction,
Yeah.
right? Or enforcement. So it's interesting to see because we went through with the prequels the sort of rise of these clones being clones, but also being very unique individuals, right? With unique relationships and unique skills and things like that. And these clones coming into the sequel trilogy, which eventually would become, stormtroopers, I'm assuming, are not those clones. They are just these very. I have one job to do, and this destruction. I don't have any personality beyond that.
Yeah, I think
They're
they
not
don't
your
want to.
Rex and Cody's.
Right. They don't want to run the risk of them rising up against them. Like they don't really give them a purpose, I think, or a
Mm.
personality in that. So I think that could be a possibility. Um, they've been through that where, and we can see in Bad Batch where like the clones start speaking up for their rights and
Mm.
they, stop the Empire from like completely putting them out of commission and they become a threat. So that's what happens when they have a personality and they become a threat to the Empire
Right.
and to the future of the First Order.
Well, and
So,
I think that's what makes like a villain like Gideon so much more nefarious, right? Like he's
mhm.
learned from all these mistakes from past iterations of the Empire and past
Right.
cloning experiments, and he's like, I'm not doing that, and it just makes him all the more powerful. I would be so angry if he's alive.
I really
Sorry,
think
stop thinking about it.
he's not done yet. I really think he's not done yet.
Damn.
He's
Anyway,
so good. Why would you want it to be? Like he's like and the fact that he's so dastardly and the fact that like you see it in season 2 where he fights Mando. Mando gets the dark saber from him, and he goes to give it to Bo-Katan, and Bo-Katan's like, "No, I can't take that." And just the smile on his face, like this man lives to cause chaos, and I just don't think he's gonna go out that easy. And yes, a giant, massive fireball from like an Imperial ship crashing into a cave is considered easy with this man. So
I mean, listen, here's the thing. I'm gonna say it because I know there are. I don't want to say a million fangirls because let's be real, so few people watch Rebels, and it breaks my heart. If Gideon survives that, Kanan survived. Just saying.
Kanan.
I mean, we all know he didn't. We know he didn't. Just
Yeah, but I'm just saying why. Kanan had the Force. Okay.
yeah.
So Kanan had to do what he had to do to protect his people.
That's not
Moff
how the
Gideon,
Force works.
The Force works in mysterious ways.
Apparently, according to Grogu and that massive fireball and his cute little bubble, and Bo-Katan standing there with her, like, as Mark called it,
little
the ruby
shield.
the little pizza shield. Yeah. What is that going to do against a fireball girl? Like, that is so disappointing. But yeah, at least Grogu was there to use the Force. But Kanan did that with his family. He put the shield around his family. Moff Gideon, I don't think that clone, as frustrated as you could tell that Moff Gideon was with the fact that he couldn't quite produce a Force sensitive clone yet. I think that's where he failed, because hey, he didn't think of, hey, I could use the Force to make this giant shield around me and live. So you can tell he's not there yet.
But also, don't forget, he was a full-fledged Rock'em Sock'em robot.
Just fried from the inside out.
Beskar outfit too. So
crispy critter. Yeah.
Ew. That's gross.
Yep.
Yeah, every time they use like fire against like these Beskar suits of armor, because it happened a couple times to Mando, I was like, oh god, that's like some sort of medieval torture right there. That's rough.
I wonder how badly burned Din Djarin is into Beskar, because like people just keep lighting him on fire and he just keeps rolling with it. Like,
people
honestly.
just keep lighting him on fire.
Yeah.
In the Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
There's another t-shirt for you, Spencer. People just keep lighting him on fire.
I like it. It's on TeePublic.
Yeah. And you can laugh at me while you wear it.
Thing.
So I really love Bo-Katan's arc this season, and we'll get to our girl Bo-Katan because she is as important to The Mandalorian as she is to Rebels. I like how her growth this season starts off with, I'm moping in my throne and my entire fleet has left me. And then she just kind of gains a little perspective and a lot of help from Din and Grogu. And I'm going to call him Din, damn it.
Yes, please do.
Because that's what it is.
Yep.
Like, to have that, and it just kind of opens her eyes and kind of helps her understand, like, yeah, we know that you don't think there's anything left on Mandalore. You know you're moping about your fleet, but honestly, there's other people that need your help. There is a way to stop Moff Gideon, and I think that seeing the Mythosaur is her kind of push that she needed to kind of grow up a little bit and stop being a spoiled princess, and feeling sorry for herself. And I think that was the turning point for her this season.
Well, and I think a lot of where her growth came from, in my opinion, are a lot of the things that Satine did really well. Because, like, I'm more of a Satine girl than I am a Bo-Katan girl. That's just the way it is.
This is the way.
This is the way. But I think, Satine was known for being much more like even-keeled and diplomatic and would listen to reason. And Bo-Katan was always the opposite. She was very, hot-headed and very, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to get it done. And, was a terrorist for a little bit, and that's cool. We don't talk about that.
Didn't happen.
Didn't happen. But I think a lot of the growth that Bo-Katan experienced in this season really was because she embraced the things that made Satine such a good leader. She was listening to other sides, and she was getting, like you said, that perspective, and maybe didn't have the perspective of all, like, I mean, think about the Mandalorians that they discovered literally still living on Mandalore. Like, she didn't know they were there. She had to be humble and to admit the fact that she pretty much handed the planet over to Moff Gideon. Like, she had to sort of look at herself in the mirror and say, like, okay, this is what I've done. This is what I need to do to sort of atone for those sins. And this is how we can kind of move forward from them. I will say I did feel a little tinge of like, oh man, this poor woman. She finally gets the Darksaber back. It just crushes it. Like, it's tinfoil. Like, she just...
This thing has survived for thousands of years and it's been passed down from generation to generation, but not today, because it's going to crumple like a piece of aluminum foil. Like,
I did feel badly for her because, like, that sucks. But somebody pointed out to me, like, all right, but they've got they've got the forge back, you know. So
you think they're gonna reforge it? Because
well,
it is made of Beskar.
It's made of Beskar, right? It's made of Beskar, and
that's a good point.
It's powered by a kyber crystal, and we've seen literally Ezra Bridger rebuild a lightsaber. We've seen other Jedi rebuild lightsabers so long as the kyber crystal is, you know, or they have access to a crystal.
Ahsoka.
They have the Beskar. Yep. Ahsoka, right? I don't know why my brain didn't go there first, but anyway.
Because mine did.
One track mind. I know we share the brain cell. But yeah, I do. I think there's a strong possibility that the Darksaber will rise again. The Darksaber will return in the Mandalorian season 4.
It's like the end of every MCU movie. The Darksaber will return.
I'm glad that somebody picked it up. It was hilarious.
It was. That's why I'm laughing. That's what I was kind of expecting at the end credit scene. To show up.
I was actually, well, first and foremost, you know, Filoni's movie is going to be like the Avengers, so Darksaber will return in the Avengers, directed by Dave Filoni. But I was actually hoping for a live action epilogue of Rebels as the tie-in for the Ahsoka movie.
Yeah.
So you have the epilogue on Lothal, but in live action.
Oh man.
Why do you hurt me?
Because I'm like that. And it's also midnight, so yes.
Why though?
Honestly,
Why?
I didn't even think of that. And I can tell Jamie didn't either. And that would have been so cool. But you know what? I think Dave is saving up all of it for Ahsoka. I really think he's going to really push everything about the Ghost Crew and Ahsoka in that show, and he's just saving everything up for it. I don't think we're going to get breadcrumbed along this time, so.
You know, and I would be inclined to agree because Dave has been very selective.
Mm-hmm.
That's the word I think I'm going to use. Dave has been really selective in how and where the Ghost Crew shows back up. I mean, I cite the Alphabet Squadron, right? Like when Alexander Freed wrote the Alphabet Squadron, like the levels of extra sort of clarity he had to go through to use Hera in those books was like monumental. Like it was a huge amount of work that he had to do to get Hera sort of cleared through Dave to be able to appear in these books. But then Hera appeared, but there couldn't be any mention of Ezra or Sabine or Kanan or Jason. Like it literally was just her.
Yeah, just Hera doing her job.
Which was a little jarring because you would think that like this woman who's literally been at war all these years would at least mention her son, but like nope, there could not be any mention of Jason. So I think Dave has been very selective in how the Ghost Crew appears, when the Ghost Crew appears, and in what capacity. So yeah, I mean, I would be inclined to agree. I don't think we're going to get a lot of, you know, I think the Zeb cameo was like shocking, right? Because we got him.
Yeah.
Nobody else. So I get that. Yeah.
And, you know, maybe like the appearance of the Purgles and the appearance of Zeb, maybe that is Dave's way of breadcrumbing us into what's to come. And again, I'm holding out hope that Zeb and Carson Teva team up in Rangers of the New Republic. Like, we're not going to see him in Ahsoka, but we'll see him in that. And I'll be so damn happy. Like,
Space Hawaiian shirt. Listen, instead of having pineapples, it's going to have Melu runs on it. I'm designing this in my head right now. One of them has a Tom Selleck mustache. It's going to be great.
Well, Zeb's got the goatee going. Just saying. And Polly's got a pretty good mustache that he like. Now that he's finished filming Uncle Iroh and Avatar: The Last Airbender, he's let it grow back in, and Perfect. It looks great. So
there you go. That's half the job right there.
So yeah, I have a lot of hope for what's to come in both The Mandalorian and in Ahsoka. And honestly, the season was chock full of so much stuff, so many cameos, so many tie-ins to Rebels, so many oh my God, happy tears moments for both our boys in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, and so many shocking moments in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen with the death of Paz Vizsla and Grogu absolutely owning it in IG-12.
He just looks so cute.
He does. Look how happy he is. And the fact that the Azelians were like, we remember you, no squeezy. And as he runs by Grogu real quick. Yeah, all in all, I really enjoyed this season. Where there's some missteps, of course. But I give it an 8 out of 10. Like I really do. And the cameos and the fact that we got Keller and Beck and Zeb and Carson Teva and the Purgles all back, like that definitely upped it for me. So
yeah,
and
I would
Lizzo,
say
our girl Lizzo.
Lizzo.
Yeah.
Poor Lizzo. Like everyone's just like, yeah, Lizzo in Star Wars, because like she never got a name. She was just the Duchess. So it was like Lizzo, Space Lizzo.
Space Lizzo.
Space Lizzo.
Love her.
This season for me, I mean, it was not my favorite season. You know, I agree that the cameos were really fun, and obviously, like I was super emotional over a whole bunch of them. For me, this season felt like a building block season. It felt like it was one of those seasons where we're building up to something bigger, and this was us laying down some foundation.
It's like season 3 of Rebels, where it's like, okay, you're reeling from the events that happened in season 2. Some dark stuff is happening, and it's all building into setting up for season 4. So yeah. I feel like that is happening here.
And every show goes through it, especially like we've seen it with like Marvel's going through it right now, and we've seen it, you know, with other long-standing franchises like this that are all tying things together to feed into like one big project or the next big project.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like we're seeing right now with The Mandalorian, is we're getting those foundation pieces to build up to something bigger.
Exactly. I think you're absolutely right. And I'm excited for the future of Star Wars. We have so much coming up. We have Visions on May the 4th. We have the Young Jedi Adventures.
So cute. I can't wait.
So cute. Sabina's going to love that one.
She is.
Heck, I will love that one. Like,
Same. Got me already buying merchandise. Who would it be?
Yeah, so we're just gearing up for Ahsoka, and we will be on the VCN in the months to come, so stay tuned. So we have a few things going on this week on the VCN. Tomorrow night we have our Cantina meetup on Zoom. Make sure you join them for that, because it's always a good time, and it's loose and it's fun and silly, and if you want to talk Star Wars, you want to talk anything about it, or just have fun, join the chat. It's always a good time. And then on Thursday, Spencer, do you want to announce what's happening on Thursday night?
Sure. So we we're in a little bit of a lull right now for Star Wars. I would say it's a week before May the 4th and Revenge of the 5th. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring back what we call an oldie but a goodie. Is we had a Star Wars adjacent series where we were watching other properties that had Star Wars actors, crewmen, etc. join for us for it. And we're bringing back a gentleman who has not been on the happy hour, the watch along, since season 2 finale. And he actually, what we're watching, he actually won an Academy Award.
Ooh, huge.
So very happy to welcome back our good friend from Industrial Light and Magic, Hal Hickel, as we watch Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest.
Hey,
a classic.
That's what we're watching about on Thursday.
That's exciting. Don't miss that. I love listening to Hal talk. I love like his insight and behind the scenes and the whole creative process. So don't miss that, guys. I promise you. If you're a big behind the scenes nerd like me, you will love it.
Maybe we'll find out why the rum is always gone.
Yeah. Who's drinking that rum? Yeah, and what do we have on Sunday this week?
So Sunday this week, we're going to have another episode of the Jedi Archives, talking about some more of the High Republic comic books, and gearing up for May the 4th, which is actually on a Thursday next week. we're going to watch a little indie film called Star Wars.
A little indie film.
I've never heard of it. This is new
It
to
did
me.
do too well.
That makes sense.
But yeah, a lot of good stuff. A lot of new shows coming in the weeks to come. So keep your ears and eyes and all appendages open. Does that sound right? Never mind. Awkward.
We're gonna miss.
Scratch it, reverse it. And also watch out for more information about the Virtual Cantina Family Vacation 2, which happens July next year as we're going back to Cali.
I need my Kangol hat or
Yes.
not. Yeah, that's going to be really exciting. So fingers crossed for that. That we'll all be able to go and have a awesome time because it sounds amazing. So yeah, it's been a hell of a season in The Mandalorian. I'm so glad I got to cover it with you, Jamie and Spencer.
It's so fun.
It's been so fun, and honestly, like the fact that Zeb and this is like my personal thoughts on it. The fact that Zeb actually showed up in live action will always be one of my absolute favorite moments in Star Wars. Like I thought like my friend Paul being on Star Wars was big enough, and having Keller and Beck come back as Ahmed Best, that's like right up there with it. So it's like the 1-2 punch of like my favorite things in Star Wars right now. So how about you?
I listen, it's the brain cell, right? We share the brain cell. It was, it's it's going to be an interesting adjustment for me to see my favorites go from animation to live action. But I will say, if it's handled the way that Zeb was, lots of good things there. And what's been interesting, and I guess my last sort of parting thought on this is that it's such a strange and wonderful feeling to see that people are gravitating towards Rebels now, because I started watching this in 2014 like you did, and I had a little pause in between because I didn't have access to it, but I fell in love with it instantly, and it's been so close to my heart for all these years, and to now see people kind of coming around because of shows like The Mandalorian, saying, you know what, I am going to try watching Rebels, I'm going to see what happens, and to have them not only watch it but then be like, whoa, wait, what? Like, there's so much happening here. And there's
How
so
many
much
Rebels pink hatters are we going to get, though?
What'd you say?
How many Rebels pink hatters are we going to get? If people will say, oh, yeah, I'm a huge fan of Rebels, and not like it reminds me of back in the 90s when you had Wayne's World and Bohemian Rhapsody came on, and I like Queen. I'm like, okay, name another song that's not Bohemian Rhapsody and say you're a Queen.
But at the same time, I refuse to be a gatekeeper about it. If they like it for their reasons.
I mean, for me, I've chosen to take on the role as an ambassador, right? So It's like I've tried to make myself available however I can on social media, which, by the by, I'm always open to chatting. If anybody's watching and wants to scream about Rebels or is new to Rebels, like I am absolutely, and I know Ashley too, right? Like
you can see our names
we are
right
happy
here
to talk about it. But being on board with Rebels as it took its initial twists and turns as it was airing, and being there for those highs and those lows, and now kind of getting to relive that with people that are experiencing it for the first time.
And there was a lot of people at Wicked Comic-Con that had never seen it before and were just starting it. Same thing. It's everything that was familiar to us is and that we went through is they're going through now, and it's huge.
Right. And it seeing it sort of spiderweb even out from the series with the books and the comics and other places where these characters show up. I mean, I have actively made it my life's mission since the show ended to track down every time Kanan and Hera appear in a book or a comic book or whatever. So seeing that unfold, count on me to be an ambassador, to have that journey with you and to share that journey with you. And I know Ashley obviously feels much the same. So
absolutely.
If you're new to the Rebels fandom, hi, hello. If you're old to the Rebels fandom, hi again. We're still here.
Yes, and it's been a crazy, awesome year, and I never would have imagined a year ago when we announced the show was coming, that we would be at this place, like that little dude in the corner or little big dude, I guess, would be
now.
existing in live action. So honestly, I honestly cannot wait for the future of Star Wars as a whole. And it's a lot more promising personally to me than it has been in previous years. So I'm excited.
We'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. I want to be
Yay!
excited. I'm excited, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, good stuff.
Well, thank you all for joining us this week. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you,
Thank
Spencer. You
you.
guys have been amazing. And Mark and I will be back next week with some more Rebels fun. And actually, yeah, by then it'll be May the 4th. So, or coming up on May the 4th. So we'll be getting some kind of information of what's to come and go from there.
I'll be swinging a lightsaber in a theme park all day.
Yeah, girl, do it for me. So for Spencer, for Jamie, Jeff and Mark enjoying Disneyland and being away. I'm Ashley, and thank you guys.